Tonight's global brief: clear, concise, and ahead of the curve. From markets to climate and tech, we scan reliable sources so you don't have to. Your world, briefing ready.
Hello and welcome to World News. I'm Eve, your anchor in our global newsroom. In the next minutes, we'll bring you verified headlines from geopolitics, business, and technology, with clear context and concise takeaways. You'll learn what happened, why it matters, and what to watch next, without noise or speculation. Stay with us as we start at the desk with today's top stories, then zoom in on the trends shaping tomorrow. Let's begin.
You know, after the fighting stops, that's when some of the most difficult work really begins. So today, we're going to break down a single, really powerful report from Reuters. It sheds light on a crucial step in Gaza's long, long road to recovery: the return of the dead. So here's the headline, the core of the story. A first batch of bodies of Palestinians has arrived back in Gaza, released by Israel. Now, you might think, a first batch, it sounds small. And it is. But it's also a really significant shift in what's happening on the ground after the conflict. Okay, so let's really dive into this first return. It's important to remember the context here, right? This is all happening during a very fragile ceasefire. And that makes this transfer, well, it's not just about logistics. It becomes this deeply symbolic and, yeah, a very politically charged event. So, how do we know this is for real? Well, Reuters confirmed it. And they didn't just hear a rumor. They spoke directly with the local health authorities right there, on the ground in Gaza. So this isn't speculation. This is verified info coming straight from the source. But to really, truly get why this first batch is such a big deal, we have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. We have to understand the full scale of what we're talking about here. Because this first group, yeah, it's just the very, very beginning. And that number, it's just one word: hundreds. Israel is reportedly still holding the bodies of hundreds of Palestinians. And that single fact, that one word, it completely reframes the whole situation, doesn't it? This isn't the end of a process. This is just the first painful step in a very, very long journey. So who are these individuals? The report is pretty clear about this. We're talking about people killed ever since the conflict kicked off back on October 7th, 2023. This group includes fighters who were part of that initial attack, but it also includes people who were killed in the fighting that came after. The main takeaway here is that they've all been held by Israel until now, which is why their return is such a complex, negotiated thing. Now, to get a handle on just how incredibly difficult this whole undertaking is, we need to change our perspective a bit. Let's try to see it through the eyes of the humanitarian teams who are actually there on the ground. Specifically, let's look at what the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, has to say. And their assessment is, well, it's blunt. They use one specific phrase to describe the work of recovering and identifying the dead. They call it a massive challenge. Just 2 words, but that phrase tells you everything you need to know about the scale of this task. It's massive not just for the aid workers, but for every single family that's still waiting for some kind of closure. So what exactly makes it such a massive challenge? The Red Cross points to 2 main difficulties. First, there's the grim, practical reality of just finding bodies in all that rubble. We're talking about huge areas. And second, you just have to acknowledge that a process this sensitive, from recovery to identification to the final handover, it's just going to take a considerable amount of time. There's no way around it. And this really brings us to the bigger picture, doesn't it? This incredibly personal process of finding and returning the dead, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's all part of this messy, complicated aftermath of war, where 2 things have to happen at the exact same time: grieving for the past and somehow trying to rebuild for the future. And here's where you can see all the different layers of this situation. On one hand, you've got this fragile ceasefire that's more or less holding. At the same time, you have talks happening about a huge rebuilding effort. But then, underneath all of that, you have this deeply human, absolutely painstaking process of recovering the dead. It's a fundamental part of rebuilding, and it's a part that has only just started. So all of this leaves us with a really profound question to think about. As nations and organizations talk about rebuilding roads and buildings and infrastructure, this report really shines a light on a different kind of reconstruction, something much more personal. As the physical rubble gets cleared away, how does a community even begin to clear the emotional landscape of grief? How do you account for your dead? And that, right there, is the central human challenge at the very heart of this story.
That's your briefing from World News. I'm Eve. Before we go, a quick recap. Key decisions in policy and markets, signals from tech and security, and the human angles behind the numbers. For more depth and verified updates, follow my channel World News Eve and enable notifications. We'll be back soon at this desk with clear facts and practical context you can use. Until then, stay informed and stay kind. Like my video, leave your comments, and help me bring news to everyone. From me to all of us, be happy.